What's up, Tsla family? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market thus far. I'm also going to talk about what's going on with Tesla stock as we're showing some weakness compared to the markets, not to mention some new news that many of their board members are unloading some shares. So I want to talk more about this. Just know that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about this market. So, as far as Tesla's going, we're making lower highs right now, which is not a good sign. And we are still below the 230 support. We're actually below that now, so it's going to be acting as resistance. So, it's not a good sign so far. There is some weakness in Tesla relative to the markets as we're getting lots of bad news from RBC Capital cutting its price target, not to mention this news right here. So, starting off with this, many of Tesla's board members have sold over $100 million worth of stock in the last couple of weeks. We're starting off with Murdoch. So I remember hearing a lot about him, at least when this news came out. But James Murdoch had come out and he has reported that he has sold about $13 million worth of Tesla shares, according to an SEC filing. This took place about a week ago, so that's some interesting news. Then there's news coming out that in one of the reports, the shares were sold to cover the exercise price related to the exercise of stock options to purchase about 531,000 plus shares. So that's one of the reasons why he did it. Kimball Musk, who is Elon Musk's brother, also sits on the board, and he unloaded about 75,000 shares worth about $27 million last month, according to a filing report. Then we have even more news that came out that Robin Denholm has offloaded more than $75 million worth of shares in two transactions in the last 5 weeks. The federal filing report just came out, so that's some big news. So, in total, this is well over $100 million worth of shares that are being sold. What does this mean for us? Well, just keep in mind, guys, there's many reasons for why they do this, okay? I saw Goldstein say this. They're saying that while a sale doesn't necessarily mean an executive or board member feels negatively about a company's outlook, it could mean that they think the stock is at a fair value or even overvalued. And they also may do this for other reasons, such as trying to exercise options, maybe because of personal reasons, and the list goes on. So it could also be that they do anticipate some more downside, as they were selling Tesla when it was like closer to 300 and such. They could be trying to buy back in at a lower price. It's not really a surprise, and this doesn't really phase me for the long term. It's just something that's worth noting. On top of this, we also have RBC Capital. They lowered their Tesla price target to about $320 a share from $440 beforehand. They still have an outperform rating on the shares, and they are concerned about Tesla's delivery performance for January and February, especially in Europe and China. They also believe that its self-driving pricing and robotaxi penetrations they basically are going to be falling under assumptions for Tesla, which is what has resulted in a target cut. They think that FSD actually could drop to about $50 per month in 2026 and about $100 per month today. And they think it's unwise to extrapolate too much from car demand dynamics. The firm points out Tesla is losing market share in Europe and China. That's what makes them a little bit more concerned. However, they are still bullish on full self-driving, and they still think that their outlook is very positive for the longer term, but they think that because of the sales decline, they're downgrading their target to 320. So that's what they said. Keep that in mind. They used to say it's going to go to 440, now they're saying 320, so that's very important. There's not really much else coming out for today in terms of news, but don't forget tomorrow we have FOMC and Jerome Powell speaking, so that's going to be the next big catalyst. As far as Tesla's going, I want to see it reclaim 233 to see some hope to bounce to 241. If not, we're going to be watching to see how well we could try to fight for 230, at least at the very least. And if that does not hold us, we could be retesting the lows again. So it is still relatively weak with this double top. We might see buyers try to get this closer to 230, but then we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. So just keep that in mind. With all this bad news, even if we do pop a bit, we could continue to downtrend a bit. You want to be very, very careful nonetheless. For SPY, we're also kind of stuck in the middle. So one of the issues with SPY is we have this 560 areas or supports. If that doesn't hold us, we could be dipping back down towards 555. That would be completely normal. even if that's the case, guys, we're still fine. As long as we don't lose these lows, we're going to be okay. It is possible we do sell off a little bit more, but like I said before, this is going to depend a lot on FOMC. I was thinking it's going to be dipping to like 516, see like a little shuffle there, but even at this level, it's still kind of weak. So what matters more is FOMC. Will FOMC, cause us to bounce back up, or do we get a big rug pull? We'll see about that. For now, just look and see if we continue to dip a bit. And then I'm also eyeing the potential for an inverse head and shoulders, so just keep that in mind. So look for a little bit more downside. We'll have to see how well 560 holds. Otherwise, we could dip more, and then we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For the QQQ, we also have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders like structure. We're looking to see how well we could hold around 474. If this does hold, I want to see if we could reclaim 480 to bounce. Otherwise, there's going to be a risk of us dipping a bit more. Even if we do dip a little bit more, we're watching to see if this inverse head and shoulders holds. As long as this low holds, there's potential for us to try to bounce. But if it doesn't hold, we're not going to be looking too good. So be careful. It also depends on FOMC. As predicted, we did see 202 on the Russell 2000. We could be dipping lower towards 201. So be careful. For ES, we're rejecting here. We also happen to have an inverse head and shoulders, but keep in mind that we need to see this hold around 5,600 at the very least. I could be looking for a 5,650 retest, so it might dip a little bit more, but as long as 5,600 holds, this still has potential to rebound. On NQ, the same setup. We have like an inverse head and shoulders. I'm going to be watching to see how this reacts to about 19,500, and also I would like to see us break past 20,000 to bounce. We'll see if the inverse head and shoulders pans out or not, so be very, very careful nonetheless. For Bitcoin, we've been making higher lows, at least for the last couple of weeks, but the issue is that we're losing this low here. So there's going to be a risk of us returning to about that 80,000 area, so just keep that in mind. As far as Nvidia goes, I want to mention that we're technically below the 20 EMA right over here. So if that fails us, we're looking for essentially 114, then eventually the 111 area, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not. But keep in mind, this is what we're seeing so far. If we manage to get back above 120, it's going to be a better sign. But I do want to mention that we could retest around this area. If we could hold above 118, that's going to be a good sign for this to bounce. So we'll be watching to see if we reclaim 118, then 120. If not, I just see us kind of trading sideways between 114 and 117 for now. There's not really much going on with this. There is potential for an inverse head and shoulder. So if we dip, we could see a nice rebound soon. But we'll see just to be safe. Just watch to see if support holds for now. Apple's holding up nicely. I want to see it reclaim 216 to bounce. As long as they don't lose 210, we're going to be fine. So just watch for that. For coin, we're looking for 180 to hold. If not, we could be retesting like 175. So it's a little bit weak right here. We'll see how things end up going. And then keep in mind that different analysts still have good outlooks for this, especially as we have bullish ratings coming out. Amazon needs to hold around this 191 area. If this holds, we could try to rebound for 195. On Meta, we're forming a slight bullish divergence, which is a good sign, but the issue is that we're still on a downtrend. I think we had some bad news that came out, especially because of a big lawsuit that's going on. There's a big trial right now from the FTC, which is not good news. This is why we're dipping, so we're making new lows, and this is still relatively weak. The setup is bearish, and we could continue to fall back down towards the 575 area and then 570 next. So we'll have to see if we bounce. But for now, we remain a little bit more in favor of bears. For Microsoft, we're making lower highs here. We could be continuing to decline back down towards 380. I would like to see us reclaim like 385, but we still look a bit more bearish. And Google, last but not least, Google is on a big downtrend right here, so we'll just have to see how it goes. This may continue to fall back down towards 158. So be very careful. I just wanted to be very, very blunt about this. The VIX is still pushing, but here's the thing about the VIX. We haven't broken resistance yet, right? We have resistance at 22.77. Will the VIX break through this and start shooting up higher to fill this gap? That would signify the market's going to be dipping lower. Or does the VIX, hold on one second, does the VIX end up like pushing here to this resistance around the 22.7 area? The market dips a little bit more, but then it rejects again off this resistance right here. I know it's hard to see. See, this EMS are going to be pushing this way. See the EMAs here. This is going to be resistance on the VIX. If we stop there, that could be a sign the market's going to bounce. So it all depends, guys, on the reaction. We might not get the reaction till FOMC day, so we may have to wait till tomorrow for it. So be very patient. The market's a little bit more weak. It's trying to base where we're currently at, but I would just be careful. Tesla needs to try to reclaim 230 at the very least. But like I said, we have a double top here. It's not looking too good for now. So yes, If Tesla cannot hold 222, we do expect it to dip towards 215. And then if we don't lose that support, we're likely going to be in a range. I would like to see us reclaim 230 to see some kind of bounce. Otherwise, we're still looking relatively weak. With that being said, have a good day, guys. I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Until then, take care and peace out.